What if Earth had rings like Saturn? Let's imagine that one day Earth woke up a little more majestic. Suspended high above the equator, thin glowing bands of rock and ice arc across the sky, planetary jewelry visible from the surface. Earth has rings. The rings would stretch thousands of kilometers wide, made of countless particles ranging from grains of dust to bus-sized chunks of ice and rock. They would orbit around the equator in a flat disk, always centered over the planet's waist. But unlike Saturn, Earth has weather, cities, and a very nosy species of curious apes with cameras and telescopes. So the first question is obvious. Could we see them? The answer is, it depends on where you live. Near the equator, you'd probably be disappointed. Since the rings orbit directly above it, you'd be looking edge-on, a paper-thin line across the sky, faint and barely visible. But travel north or south, and everything changes. From cities like Cairo, Mumbai, or Houston, the rings would rise into glorious arcs. At dawn, they'd glow softly with reflected sunlight. At night, they'd shine with ghostly light like a sideways halo bisecting the stars. And during sunrise or sunset, they'd turn fiery red, casting long slashes of shadow and light across the sky. In polar regions, the rings would dominate the horizon, massive curved streaks that seemed to slice through the sky. They would be as much a part of the landscape as the moon or the mountains. Children would grow up knowing the rings not as a scientific curiosity, but as a fixture of the heavens, every poem and postcard featuring them like we now feature sunsets or rainbows. But we wouldn't just admire them. We'd be obsessed. Religions would have formed around them. Mythologies would be rewritten. Imagine ancient civilizations building temples aligned not to stars, but to the rings. Cities built in the right latitude, maybe between 30 and 50 degrees north or south, would be prime real estate, where the rings hung thick and shimmering overhead. A new kind of tourism would evolve, where travelers sought the perfect ring view like we now chase northern lights or solar eclipses. But with beauty comes shadow, literally. The rings, depending on their density and thickness, could block sunlight in narrow sweeping bands across the surface. Think of a solar eclipse that never ends, just drifts west to east across the Earth every day as the planet spins. This could affect crops, temperatures, even entire ecosystems. Some regions might fall into daily semi-darkness for hours, while others enjoy glittering, filtered sunlight. And then there's the issue of spaceflight. Low Earth orbit would be a very different place. Satellites launched near the equator would face a high-speed gauntlet of ring particles, each one tiny but moving at several kilometers per second. A single collision could destroy a spacecraft. That means space agencies would need to launch at steep angles to avoid the rings. Our GPS, weather satellites, and even the ISS would need new orbits. Or maybe, in this version of Earth, we just never build satellites at all, not in the way we know them. Cities would have to adapt too. Architects might design buildings to reflect or capture ring light at night. In some places, there'd be literal ring light hours when buildings glow from sunlight bouncing off the rings. Artists would be inspired endlessly. Books, movies, memes, everything would be wrapped in the glow of the rings. But the rings wouldn't last forever. On Earth, our atmosphere and the moon's gravitational pull would conspire to slowly drag the rings down over time. Instead of lasting billions of years like Saturn's, Earth's rings might survive for just a few million before atmospheric drag or collisions caused them to decay. As they fell, they'd break apart further, maybe forming temporary bright arcs that rain fire as fragments burn up during descent. That might sound terrifying, but imagine looking up and seeing glowing lines across the sky slowly raining stars. It would be tragic, yes, but it would also be beautiful. In the end, if Earth had rings, they'd change everything. Our art, our technology, our sense of wonder. The rings would be more than just rocks orbiting the planet. They'd become part of human identity. Every culture, every calendar, every child's drawing of the sky would include them. They'd shape our cities, our science, even our myths. And maybe, just maybe, having something so beautiful in the sky every day would remind us that we live on a planet that's not just habitable, but extraordinary.